It's a very interesting thing, Arunji. The day you start to know the functioning of your own mind, that day you know the functioning of everybody's mind. Because आपका mind और मेरा mind अलग नहीं है. Maybe your motivators are a little different than my motivators. Maybe your value systems are a little different than my value systems. But our minds largely are the same. To give you an example, we all want pleasure and we all want to avoid pain.
Gurudev, you often say, know the self to know the world. And so how does this self-awareness, especially I want to ask you because I've seen, you explain things very lucidly. So very often a lot of adhyatmic terms, so they are very abstract. And self-awareness is actually, I would say, one of those terms which has proved to be very deceptive also for a lot of people. So when we talk about self-awareness, and so how does this self-awareness, one, what is self-awareness? Two, how does it directly impact the business outcomes, decision-making, leadership qualities? Because for me, I think probably that's the foundation of this whole thing. And how do you create this self-awareness through this Bodhishala program?
Okay.
Broadly, if you can tell us about this.
So self-awareness is not an elusive term. What is self-awareness, Arunji? And I will talk in the leadership context. You see, you as a leader, don't you think you should know what are your driving factors? What are your motivators? What are the values that makes you take a certain decision? This is the fundamental of self-awareness. That I know what drives me. I know what are my values which allow me to take a certain decision. I'm not reactive. It's not that आपने मुझे गुस्सा किया, मैंने आपको तुरंत वापस गुस्सा किया. This is reactive, Where is my more? If I'm asking you, Arun, let's say we are in a leader-subordinate relationship. I have no right to tell you that be more engaged with the job unless I know what does that really mean. That's self-awareness. Do I know what engagement with the job means? Is it bonus? Is it perks? Is it my next promotion? If that's it, if that is about being more engaged, there's a problem there. Yeah. Do we as leaders know why we are doing what we are doing? Let's start from that as a simple thing. Why am I doing something that I'm doing? इतना तो मुझे मालूम होना चाहिए. Arunji, that's self-awareness. And you'll be shocked to realize if you go deeper into this, most of us don't know this. As I said earlier, we're jumping from one task to another. We're not stopping, taking a pause and saying, hello, why am I doing this? Why this task is important? If I'm spending time with you, why? Why is it important for me to talk and have a deeper communication with my teams? Why is it important? If I'm just expecting everybody to come at 9 o'clock and leave at 9 o'clock in the night, 12 hours, why should they do that? We're not asking these whys from our own selves, and that's the lack of self-awareness. Once, Arunji, you have figured that out within your own self, once you've brought this clarity within your own self, once you've answered every why within your own self, then you will know the pain points of others. Then you will know why they're not engaged with the job. Why every time you have to tell them, 5 times to do a job on time. What's stopping them? Then you will know what are their motivators and what motivators do they lack. Because आपके अंदर भी तो वही motivators lack किए होंगे पहले, self-awareness आने से पहले. Yeah? It's a very interesting thing, Arunji. The day you start to know the functioning of your own mind, that day you know the functioning of everybody's mind. Because आपका mind और मेरा mind अलग नहीं है. Maybe your motivators are a little different than my motivators. Maybe your value systems are a little different than my value systems. But our minds largely are the same. To give you an example, we all want pleasure and we all want to avoid pain. Right?
Yes.
All minds are the same.
Absolutely.
We all run away from pain, additional burden of work,
Yes.
And we all want to cut corners. Right? Once you know this in your own self and you develop this self-awareness, Arunji, won't you fix it in you? Why am I cutting corners? Again the why comes. क्यों कर रहा हूँ ये मैं cut corners? और फिर आगे चल के इसकी कीमत चुकानी पड़ती है मुझे because काम खराब हो जाता है.
Absolutely.
Right? Once you recognize this why, your own engagement with the work that you're doing, with the communication that you're having, with the relation that you're forming, all enhances. Now you're in a position of a conscious leadership to truly lead because you now know the pains of other people. Now there's compassion. अब उनका हाथ पकड़ के आप सिखाने को तैयार हो जाओगे. Right? Now you will not be a taskmaster with the hunter. Now you will work at the human level. And that's what all great companies did. I'll give you a quick example. When American automobile industry learned about Toyota, the Fords and the GMs of the world of America, when they learned about Toyota, they said, boss, we need to figure them out. We just don't need to see their product. We need to see how they are doing this and why they've been able to do this better than us. What are their motivators? What are their value systems? ये स्टडी किया था US automobile industry ने on Toyota. They wanted to learn this, right? So if as conscious leaders you develop this capacity of asking and knowing the why, then you know, and then with very deep compassion at a very human level. क्योंकि Toyota यही करता था. वो Toyota was not hiring people for their skills. They were hiring people for their mental ideas also. Not just that. They were hiring people for their heart also. So उनका मानना ये था कि हमें सिर्फ हाथ नहीं चाहिए काम करने के लिए, हमें सिर्फ तुम्हारा माइंड नहीं चाहिए. We need your heart also. So Toyota for the first time valued human beings as fully integrated human beings, where head, hearts and hands are all in harmony. ये वाई से निकल के आया था, ये सेल्फ अवेयरनेस से निकल के आया था. किसी लीडर, some leader at Toyota must have developed this self awareness, and I would tend to believe, I have not studied this, that some leader must have gone deep into the traditional culture, which I call spirituality, of that region. ये वहीं से निकला होगा. So self awareness is the आधार to really become a conscious and more human leader. That's why so much focus on that. And there are techniques and tools to do that. Yeah. So in Bodhchala programs, a big part of the retreat is to help leaders develop this self-awareness. Help leaders to answer their own whys. It's so satisfying, Arunji, to see when a leader in the retreat develops even little bit of clarity about the why, their eyes start to shine as if they have found the formula of life. That's what conscious leaders need, to know the right formula of life so that they can teach the formula of life to others. That's how the human society will evolve and grow, and stresses and burnouts will be out of the window. That's the world we need to create. A more human world, a more human workplace, a more human institutional structure. That's what we need to create. Yes.